The College Football Experience Week 11 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET is what you need to win. Sign up today. Bet $100. Get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the College Football Experience Week 11 reaction show. Crazy fucking day. Can't wait to talk about all the action, the college football stuff that's been happening. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dad, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, what a fun day today was. A lot of great games. Got to check it out. If you missed it, first off, if you're wondering where the hell Patty C is, he is on his way to out of town. He's going to the 49ers game tomorrow. So he just went up there and got, having a good time. So he's out. He's out of the office. It's just me. You're stuck with my stinking face and my stupid opinion. So you're just going to have to deal with it right now. We got some ball games going on. We got Utah only up 14-7 on Stanford in the third quarter. It's a bit concerning. I would say that deserves one of these.
Well, I don't get the rain man cold.
San Jose State is down 24-14 to San Diego State, which is crazy because I believe San Jose State went up 14-0. So 24 unanswered from the Aztecs. That's at the half. Critical game for Patty C's win total of over on San Diego State there. Something to monitor. We also have the Arizona Wildcats up 21-14 in at the Rose Bowl. Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer are there, enjoying the wine and cheese crowd. Probably a nice solid 300 people there, but they're enjoying it. And Boise State is up 21-0 on Nevada. I have currently clinching a Boise minus 20.5 ticket that I'm sweating. Boise is inside the red zone though, so hopefully that game's in the snow. It's awesome. It's football weather, baby. Barrett Sally trying to say football weather is 70 degrees and sunny. Get the fuck out of here. Look up your history. Know your history, all right? Football is from Jersey. We did the weather report on that. Patty C was tweeting that. November. Get out of here with that nonsense. It's meant to be in the cold weather. Currently, Utah State up 17-10 on the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors on the island. Shout out to Oink Oink in the chat. He says he's happy to be here. Well, I'm happy that you're here because we got a lot to talk about. We'll start off. Notre Dame 35, Navy 32. Boom, midshipman Cash. Navy had one of the worst onside kicks I've ever seen. The ball went like 3 yards. Or perhaps they might have won the game. But Notre Dame was in charge. I want to say they were up 35-13 at halftime. Navy scored 19 unanswered to make it a game. Shout out to Ken Niumatalolo in getting that cover. And I guess before I go game by game, I guess we should talk about the elephant in the room here. Game of the day. Well, actually, let's just go chronologically because there was like 3 or 4 games that were probably on the same level. But Notre Dame beats Navy 35-32. Notre Dame blocks another punt. Their special teams has been fantastic under Marcus Freeman. But, and that's a win we all expect Notre Dame to get. I still don't know, if they're a great team. Their resume is not great, although they have some good wins against ACC opponents. And that's kind of the tone for me this year, a lot of years, but especially this year. I really don't know. We just need a large playoff. I mean, in general, every year, but specifically this year. Can you really tell me you feel comfortable? It's like Patty C said today. He was saying, dude, after the fourth best team in the nation, I got no idea from number 5 to number 50. It's a very thin line, in his opinion, between 5 and 50. And I agree. Shout out to Ryan McIntyre in the chat talking about those Mountaineers. Oh, the same Mountaineers that me and Terrell Furman called on the money line as an 8-point dog today. Yes, those same Mountaineers getting it done, saying fuck you to Oklahoma before that's their last time coming into Morgantown. There we go. But yeah, Notre Dame wins by 3, but okay. Notre Dame's number 20 in the nation. They don't, it's Notre Dame. They probably don't deserve to be number 20 in the nation. From a resume standpoint, they don't. But at the same time, if you told me Notre Dame was playing, I don't know who's if Notre Dame was playing Ole Miss tomorrow, I got no idea who's winning that game. I know what I think, but even with that, I don't even know how to set a line on that. I would think Ole Miss would win that game, but I don't know because Notre Dame's defense is good enough. Shout out to Jake Paquin in the chat. Because I'm throwing A.J. Williams in the locker for knocking Antoine out before half. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. He had some props going. He had 81, 19 yards shy of cashing the 30-1 parlay. Oh man, that's brutal. That's brutal. Well, if you listen to our morning show or if our other shows throughout the week, you know that I called for UConn. I locked up UConn plus 14.5 points, but I also took UConn on the money line. Boom! Let's go, baby. If Jim Mora is not in the conversation for Coach of the Year, something's wrong. Something's really wrong because UConn is bowling now. They're bowl eligible. Who knows if the selection committee hates independent teams not named Notre Dame, so they probably won't even select them. But I think UConn is good. They got Army next. I think they're going to beat Army. It's going to be a game, of course, but I think they're capable of beating Army. They can get 7 wins, regardless. Even if they end up 6-6, this is one of the best coaching jobs. And that's the theme, I feel like I'm a broken record a lot of times, but I think that's the theme of this season. Real Money Kramer was asking me tonight. He stopped by the studio and said, "Hey, so what's the deal with Brent Pry? What's the deal, right?" Well, I mean, Brent Pry still might work out, but I don't understand. You see Mario Cristobal at Miami. You see Brent Pry at Virginia Tech, Tony Elliott at UVA, and some of these other coaches that, are coming in and kind of struggling in year one. And you look at, the likes of Sonny Dykes at TCU. TCU was a losing team a year ago. Now, that team he walked into was actually decently talented from a composite ranking. But Duke, look at what Duke had. Duke had no talent. Look what Mike Elko's doing at Duke. Look what Jim Mora Jr. is doing at UConn. And then that's what I mean is you see these coaches that are making it work. And I tend to think more than ever, coaching is so much more important than personnel. It's remarkable. I mean, UConn, let alone they had no talent on this roster. Then their starting quarterback, Taquan Roberson, a 4-star from Penn State who transferred in, who was the most talented guy on the roster from a recruiting composite. He tore his ACL in the first quarter of the Utah State game, the first game of the season, week 0. So he's been out all year. So Jim Mora is doing this with nobodies, and it's fantastic. It's unbelievable to watch. I'm very excited for the future of UConn football. I hope he stays at UConn. Everyone should be calling him, but I hope he stays at UConn. I know he's living in like a fucking haunted house in New Haven or whatever. I mean, I'm seriously really impressed. And that's what I mean, though, is getting back to the coach conversation is how can those guys do it? Sonny Dykes, okay, his team was talented, but it doesn't matter. That same team sucked last year. And he lost Zach Evans to Ole Miss. And look at him, he's undefeated. Mike Elko, Duke was getting blown out by like 40 points every game last year. Go look at their record and their schedule from a year ago. UConn was the worst team. I mean, UConn lost to FCS teams. Unbelievable job these guys are doing. Unfucking believable. Just coaching that you see right there how important coaching is, because I can tell you this, Miami's recruiting composite was top 15. Virginia Tech's talent level wasn't nearly as bad as their performance they're putting out. Virginia, how about Virginia? Virginia brought back a lot of their offense minus their offensive line. Like their wide receivers, their top 4 wideouts. They brought in, they had Brennan Armstrong coming back. And you would think, okay, the offense can't be that bad. Well, no, it is that bad. That's got to be coaching. That's got to be coaching. And Brennan Armstrong, if he wants to, can take advantage of the COVID eligibility. I know he's a senior, but he still can opt to come back to college football. And if I was him, I'd transfer out. Probably. I mean, it just shows how much coaching matters. To me, it's so much more important than everything else. So much more important. SMU covers the 17.5. Brutal. I took South Florida as they take down South Florida. Speaking of coaching, South Florida's going to be looking for a coach, but SMU moves to 6-4. Decent first year for Rhett Lashley in Dallas there. I know the chat's saying Iowa State would beat Notre Dame. TJ Sunstein saying that, or Sunstein. Yeah, I mean, I think they could. I think that would be a game. But that's what I mean. And we talked about this. We always use Iowa State as the model as they lose another close game today. This year is crazy. And I made this statement. I was watching the Arkansas LSU game this morning, which I thought was a pretty shitty football game as far as the game. Like the teams didn't look very good. Arkansas started. Why did they not start Cade Fortin from the start? I have no fucking idea. They went with Hornsby. He was awful. But Arkansas didn't look like a good team. LSU didn't look like a very good team the whole game. I mean, yes, that the one guy is an absolute beast who looked like fucking Derek Thomas. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now because I've been drinking for 6 hours. But I'm sitting there like LSU's going to win the SEC West. I mean, they got it done. Brian Kelly's a great coach. I did think he made the necessary, like they were in some. They didn't look good, but they were there. They got the dub, and they were the better team on the field today. They were. I don't want to take that away from them, but I tweeted out that I don't think both teams are really good, and I don't think LSU is like your typical top 10 team. I don't think I don't want to say they shouldn't be in the top 10 because based on their resume, they should be. But when I watch them, I go, this is a team that could lose to the 55th team in the nation. I really feel decent about that. Like, I am not wowed by LSU. And that's what this season is like you have a team that's like what, number 7? That honestly, if you told me they're lining up next week on a neutral site against a random fucking team, in my tweet I said Coastal Carolina or Appalachian State, I think they're capable of beating them. And I think it wouldn't be that. I think it would be a game. Like, I do not believe it would be a double-digit game. I mean, could it happen theoretically? Sure. But I actually think it is a very, very close game. That's what this year is in college football. Fucking insane. Missouri, and this one was crazy because, I mean, I took Tennessee minus 20. I didn't bet it, but I'm saying I picked it. And I don't know what happened. This was like, I mean, Tennessee was always ahead of them. But, man, I turned that game off and put on another game. I did not realize they scored 66 until I was watching like a halftime report. And I was like, whoa, they scored 66. They were scoring a lot. Don't get me wrong. They were in like the 40s, but I thought it was kind of done. 66-24, Tennessee rolls. Yeah, Tennessee continues to look really good. Unfortunately, Georgia locked up the SEC East right now. So And there's not a lot of meat on the bone left, but they did have Oregon lose tonight. So Tennessee's chances, I guess, are good to get to the Invitational, even though they would not play in their conference championship. I guess it's decent. I don't know how the fuck they decide that. Doesn't make any sense. Oklahoma loses to West Virginia. How about that? Dub V gets that dub. They're still alive to make a bowl. That's what I mean. Big 12 is the best conference. Fight me. Like you saw it today, how down the SEC is. Bama's not the same Bama. In my opinion, LSU, yeah, they're the best team in the West because they're going to win the West, but they don't look great to me. Kentucky lost to fucking Vanderbilt. Tennessee, Georgia are good. After that, I don't feel comfortable saying anyone else is like elite. Maybe Bama, if I had to. Even though they lost. So I don't know. It's all nonsense. That's why we need a large playoff. We need a fucking really large playoff. Who's the worst team in the Big 12 now? I got no idea. Texas Tech beats Kansas. Is Oklahoma the worst team in the Big 12? It's a fair question to ask yourself. Oklahoma or Iowa State? And I do think they would beat, and we talk about this every week, so, I mean, you're not hearing anything new, but I think they would beat a lot of other teams. Like someone was tweeting me about Florida State today. Shout out to Mike Norvell in Florida State. He's doing a great job. They're whooping ass 2 weeks in a row on the road, even though I know that one of Miami Gardens is like 50-50 Miami and Florida State fans. But they look really good. They're capitalizing on the mediocrity or the shit that is the ACC. Kudos to them. But if you told me Florida State was playing Iowa State or Oklahoma tomorrow, I would take Iowa State or Oklahoma. I really would. I'm not saying that to talk shit about Mike Norvell. I really fucking would take them. Next up. Indiana's at Ohio State. That game, big noon kickoff, should be fucking ashamed of themselves. That was a ridiculous. I didn't watch much of this. Saw it was snowing, so I turned it on for 5 minutes. This game's terrible. Every year. We got to open the season with this next year? Why? What did we do to deserve that? Ohio State looks great. Indiana's terrible. Tom Allen, we got to wonder if he's going to get fired this year. Something to consider. And then who would they bring in? Interesting, to think about the possibilities of who could they bring in. Tom Herman. Maybe that would work out. I don't know. Could they bring in Gary Patterson? Would Gary Patterson take that job? It'd be interesting. It'd be very interesting to see. Virginia Tech 7, Duke 24. My point exactly, Mike Elko. One team looks prepared. The other team looks like they've never played football. Virginia Tech's awful. They're fucking awful. I would be very concerned if I was a Virginia Tech fan. I really would, because recruiting only gets you so far. You got to be able to win games as a coach. Your offense looks like shit. You got to fire that OC or something. I don't know. Purdue 31, Illinois 24. Wow. I was impressed. This was a fun game. Actually, no, I didn't. I ate shit on this one. I can't play that one. I'll play this one. This was a wild one. These teams were fighting. It was great. There was penalties. It was fantastic. It was in the cold. It was fucking great. But shout out to Jeff Brom. And now the Big Ten West is a bundle of fun. Everyone's 5-3. 5-3, right? 5-3 or 3-3. I don't know. Everyone has 3 losses. Like Minnesota, Iowa, Purdue, Illinois. And then one game back behind that is Wisconsin. A lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Shout out to Purdue though, and shout out to my DFS play of Payne Durham. That was a power play right there. Vandy 24, Kentucky 21. The fact Kentucky was ranked was fucking ridiculous. This is, you see this all the time. It's like the year the Big Ten had Indiana with that. Remember the Big Ten had like a 5-game schedule and they put Indiana in the top 10 with Michael Penix. It was the biggest crock of shit ever. And if you look into it, you'll always see it's a jaded deck of cards from the start. Kentucky had no business being ranked. South Carolina the other week had no business being ranked. If you actually watch the games, they're not a very good football team. They're not a very good football team. I know you got to rank somebody, but be a little more fair. Be a little more fair. There's some other teams out there that are better than Kentucky, and we've watched them, be better than Kentucky. Shout out to Vandy, Clark Lee. They're getting better. They are getting better. Like I made this argument, I think, a couple episodes ago where I was like, they're like one of the better of the worst Power Fives. If you had to take if you had a playoff of the worst Power Fives of Virginia Tech, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Miami, those 5 from the ACC, Northwestern, Indiana, Rutgers, those 3 from the Big Ten. That's 8 teams there. Colorado, Stanford from the Pac-12. That's 10 teams. And then you throw Vandy in as 11, and you throw, I don't know, like Texas Tech. No, I guess Iowa State in there. I think Iowa State would be the best by far. By far. I think Iowa State would be hands down way better than everyone else. But then after that, I think Stanford and Vandy are better than everybody else. Maybe you throw BC in there. BC's improving. I was impressed by that quarterback today. Shout out to Vanderbilt. They're Clark Lee is doing it slowly but surely. Michigan State 27, Rutgers 21. The Scarlet Knights cover this game. I didn't watch one fucking snap of this game, I'll be honest. But shout out to Sparty. The more players you get suspended, the better your fucking team is. You keep winning these games, all of a sudden you're 4-5. I already cashed on the under though, so it's too late. It's going to be interesting. Do you think Michigan State gets to a bowl? They have Indiana. Well, wait. Yeah, they're going to be what, 5-5? They're going to go bowling. They get Indiana in East Lansing, and then they're at Penn State. They're going to go 6-6. They're going to end up in the I don't know, fucking Kung Pao Chicken Bowl, and boom. Rutgers still, like, they just don't have an offense. I don't understand how you can't get a better offense. Every year, like, the defense is somewhat solid. The special teams is somewhat solid. Offense sucks every year. Same team over and over and over again. LSU 13, Arkansas 10. We talked about that one. How about the Virginia Cavaliers? First 2 plays of the game, pick sixes to the Pitt Panthers. Pitt 37, Virginia 7. I had Patty C. He's lucky he's not fucking here today because all last week he was telling me that Tony Elliott and the Wahoos are turning a corner. What corner are they fucking turning? What corner are they really turning as Pitt rolls them? How about the JMU Dukes, though? Patty C would be able to bounce back with this one, 37-3 over Old Dominion. JMU is good. This is what I mean, though. I honestly have no idea. Like, if you told me Notre Dame's playing James Madison tomorrow, I would favor Notre Dame, right? I really would. But JMU is like I know they lost to Marshall, but they didn't have their starting quarterback. I put them on the same level. There's not a big gap. So if you had a large playoff, it'd be fantastic because you have no idea how these outcomes would be. Notre Dame seems to be playing a lot better right now. So obviously I think they would beat James Madison. But James Madison's not bad. Not a bad team. How about ULM? Shout out to Terry Bowden. Never fade a Bowden in a big game. They moved to 4-6, keeping their bowl hopes alive. Take down Georgia State. What an upset. They were solid dogs. Shout out to Jerry Kill in New Mexico State as they roll Lamar 51-14. Oh, that's my over there, cashing. I cashed last week or 2 weeks ago, but I'll play the music again. Promote myself some. Rice 10, Western Kentucky 45. The Hilltoppers are good. They're better than what they thought they would be. I really believe they're better than what I thought they would be. I mean, I did not think they'd be this good. Shout out to the Hilltoppers and Helton doing a good job there. Tyson Helton. Temple 36, Houston 43. Shout out to the Owls. Stan Drayton's got Temple playing a lot better than what we figured as well. Even though they're still losing these games, they scored. I mean, they almost won that game. They were in that game. Oh, shit. We got Dryden in the chat. There we go. He says, fuck the Ducks. Yes, we will get there. Talking about them. Arkansas State 35, UMass 33. Wow. Almost happened. Butch Jones almost lost to UMass. UMass covers. Wow. It's going to be interesting to watch those two teams next year. I think Butch Jones was a bad hire at Arkansas State. Don Brown, I thought, was actually a pretty good hire, but he's got to get the offense going. Nebraska 3, Michigan 34. This game was in the snow. It was awesome. Looked cool. We like to watch games in the weather, so I had this one on the TV, even though Nebraska got their ass whooped. Nebraska no longer can make a bowl, which means their streak will continue. They're the only Power 5 since 2017 not to go bowling or be bowl eligible. The only Power 5 in the country. That's fascinating. How about the Washington State Cougars? All that they've been through with the Rolovich situation. Jake Dickert's doing a really good job there. That, you know, they should have beat Oregon back in whatever week that was, week 3 or something. But you know what? They got their heart broken in that game. Then they had Utah on the ropes. Got their heart broken in that game. They even, I thought, played USC better than that score indicated. Thought USC got some favorable calls in that matchup. But they get it done against Arizona State. They are bowl eligible, 6-4 currently. They're a good team. And it's cool to watch Washington State. They're going to be good. I think even next year they'll be good. I think next year they might even be better. Miami 35, Georgia Tech 14. This game was like, so Miami led this game, I think, the whole way. They were up 14-0, I feel like, I think 14-7 at half. And in the fourth, Miami had just an offensive explosion or I think a pick 6 or something. Yeah, that's what it was. They scored 3 touchdowns really fast in like a 4-minute window in the fourth quarter to get this thing cranked up to 35-14. Hey, whatever you got to do, Mario Cristobal, if you can get yourself to a bowl, which I still have my doubts, the remaining schedule, so they're 5-5, but they're at Clemson and home to Pitt. I don't think they can beat either of those teams, but Pitt's always weird. You never know. Pitt lays some clunkers sometimes. Either way, 5-7 is a terrible fucking first year. And yeah, I mean, good win though. Good win because you didn't lose to Georgia Tech. It's not a good win, but hey, you didn't. We're not talking shit about you right now. Somewhat. Wisconsin 10, Iowa 24. Boom! Let's go, baby. For all the shit they've talked about, you know, to Kirk Ferentz, you know, giving him a hard time. All of a sudden, the Hawkeyes are what? They're 6-4, and their 2 remaining games are at Minnesota and home to Nebraska. I mean, the Minnesota game they could lose, but I think there's a decent shot they could end up 8-4, and that's a really good season at Iowa. So come on. I want to see them in the Big Ten championship. Let's go. Let's go, Hawkeyes. Let's fucking do this. Nice win. Their defense and special teams. I watched that whole game. They're a bundle. They're a bundle of fun to watch. That defense, that special teams every single time. Now Petrus, the lawn chair, no. But I said this was going to be a battle of lawn chairs, and whoever made more turnovers, that was going to be the difference in the game. Petrus was on point. He had one lawn chair fumble that was huge, but he was 14 of 23 for 94 yards. That is winning football in a matchup like this, because Graham Mertz was 16 of 35 for 176, but he threw 2 picks. Yes, he had a touchdown, but he threw 2 picks, and one of them was a pick 6. So there we go. With that one there. Shout out to Iowa. Oklahoma State 20, Iowa State 14. This is what I mean, though. Iowa State moves to 4-6. I felt bad for them. They were in position. Their remaining games are Texas Tech and TCU. They can still go bowling, but Iowa State was up in the fourth quarter, pretty much for all the fourth quarter. Oklahoma State scored with 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left. This was a good game. The Oklahoma State moves to 7-3. They keep their chances alive, and that's what's going to be really fun to watch is the Big 12 conference race. Now, I feel like I should load that up right now to talk about that, because that is that's a lot of teams that are in the mix there with Texas losing today. Let me try to figure this out right now. Because Kansas State wins, but Texas Tech beats Kansas, which I think kind of eliminates Kansas. So TCU, I think, is officially clinched, right? Or I guess I think they've officially clinched. Okay, so right now it's TCU K-State, which I have a K-State to win the Big 12 ticket. Let's do this. Remember, K-State was up big on TCU before both their quarterbacks got knocked out. They were up 18, I think. But one game behind K-State is Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Texas, which all three still have a chance. Shit, you can even make a case. That Kansas and Texas Tech are theoretically still alive, which is fucking insane. Because, Baylor plays Texas next week, so someone's going to lose there. Kansas still plays Kansas State. What is Texas Tech schedule? I don't even know. I mean, this is fun though. I think K-State's actually I think K-State can beat TCU. I think they can win it. I know I'm saying that because I have a ticket and I believe that, but I also really believe that they would have beaten TCU had their quarterbacks had not gotten knocked out. Alabama 30, Ole Miss 24. Ole Miss had a chance to get the end zone and grab the dub. Bama hangs on and wins. I thought Nick Saban made great halftime adjustments, slow down the Ole Miss offense, and Bama wins. And Bama would still be. This is why a 12-team playoff would be fantastic, is because Bama's eliminated, but in a large playoff, I think they could be a dangerous team. So could a lot of these teams. I mean, maybe they would lose in the first round. Who knows? It'd be fun because it wouldn't be in Tuscaloosa. It would be wherever they would, more than 12 teams would be even more fun. I'm not happy with 12. I will not be happy with 12. You know this, folks. All right, folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience Week 11 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET's now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET is what you need to win. Sign up today. Bet $100. Get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. Louisville 16, Clemson 31. Shout out to Clemson. I watched this game. Malik Cunningham got knocked out of this game, but I still think Clemson was the better team here. Had he even been healthy, but all the way through. I just feel like the ACC doesn't really have anyone that's that good. I think it's the worst we've ever seen the ACC. I think it's the worst we've ever seen a Power 5 probably. But shout out to Clemson. Clemson's going to go like 11-1 or 12-1. And I think you can make the argument that they're the worst 11 or 12-1 Power 5 team to ever be that, at least in this century. Maryland 0, Penn State 30. Boom. Easy. We locked up Penn State -10. Triple lock. Boom. Maryland sucks. They had a winning record. They're not good, though. You know that. That's the thing, though. I mean, even Clemson, I know I'm talking shit about Clemson, but you have a large playoff. They could beat some teams. I mean, I think Clemson's defense would be able to line up and beat some teams that they probably shouldn't be beating. But that's I think the gap between, like Patty C said, 5 and 50 is razor thin. So it would be awesome. It would be like March Madness, but better. Appalachian State at Marshall. Marshall wins 28-21. These games are always fun. I watched a lot of this game. App moves to what's happening? Sean Clark's 5-5 now. I mean, are you even going to get to a fucking bowl? That's one of the win totals that I really fucked up. I was on the over with App State, and I was looking really good. I felt like after even the North Carolina loss, I was like, oh, this team's legit. They have ODU and Georgia Southern remaining. I do think they'll get to bowl eligibility, but they might lose to Georgia Southern. Wow, that's a down year in App. And you brought back Chase Bryce and a bunch of players. I think Sean Clark, I don't know. Minnesota 31, Northwestern 3. I watched 0 of that game. I think one play, actually. I think I watched one play. Yeah, Minnesota continues. I have Minnesota to win the Big Ten West, so that ticket's still alive. My North Carolina ticket to win the ACC. Coastal, I think, is a done deal, plus 700 to win the Coastal. We'll see if they can knock down Clemson in the ACC championship. UCF 38, Tulane 31. You know, I misdiagnosed this one. I thought Tulane was to be the more physical team. UCF was the better team from the minute this game kicked off until the end. I watched this whole game. There was no fairy dust on this. UCF's the better team here. It'll be interesting to see the rematch though in a couple of weeks. If they're, you know, if they can grab some wins, I think that we might get this rematch, and that will be fun. Boston College 21, NC State 20. Finally. Oh man, I knew this NC State team was fool's gold. Their record, the fact that they were ranked was ridiculous. They were the luckiest team in the nation. Sometimes all you need is luck, but that luck runs out. You play enough of these close games, it runs out. BC wins in Raleigh. This is what I mean. The ACC is trash. It's absolute trash. People were saying, "Oh, they're a good team." No, they're trash. Give me a large playoff. You know how we fade Rick Barnes in the NCAA tournament, or certain coaches? You give us a large playoff. NC State loses the first round. Guarantee you. In Raleigh, at home. I feel good about that. They could be playing Southern Miss, and I would feel good about that. Nice win by BC, though. They needed that one, man. UTSA 51, Louisiana Tech 7. Roadrunners. Yeah, Roadrunner. Give me UTSA at NC State. I feel good that UTSA would beat them if we have a large playoff. These would be fun matchups, and all these towns, you got to have a large playoff. Shout out to the Roadrunners as they get a step closer to winning the CUSA. Army 9, Troy 10. Whew, this was a good one. We had this on the TV there. Army was up 9-3. I feel like the whole fucking game, right? They're up 9-0 at halftime. But they missed the extra point on the very first score of the game, right? And that cost them, because if not, this game would be going to overtime. But even worse, Army gets in position to win the game. It was like a 25-yard field goal, I feel like, or a 30-yard field goal, and the kicker misses it. Absolutely brutal loss by Army and Troy. You lucked up here. You looked before. You got some bad luck when App completed that Hail Mary to beat you. Well, you got lucky here. Shout out to Troy. UAB 41, North Texas 21. That was a bit shocking. I don't know which. UAB is a hard team to understand. Now that Bill Clark's gone, one day they show up, the next they don't, and it's really hard to forecast UAB. But nice win for them, as they're keeping their bowl hopes alive. They moved to 5-5. Disappointing season, but watch out. Look, UAB plays at LSU. If the right UAB shows up, which is a big if, they could give LSU a game. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna take the points. But if the wrong UAB shows up, they might lose by 40. I'm excited to watch that one though. Charlotte 14, Middle Tennessee 24. Shout out to Middle Tennessee. Stock still goes to 5-5. All he needs is one win left, and I think he's going to get there to get to 6 to go bowling. I was on the wrong side. I told everyone this morning to take New Mexico plus like 22 or 23 points. Boy, was I fucking stupid. Air Force rolled them 35-3. New Mexico's offense couldn't get anything going. Air Force continues to look good. Florida 38, South Carolina 6. This is my point. I mean, Florida's not that great of a school. They just murked South Carolina. South Carolina's been trash all year. I know I talk a lot of shit about NC State, and I think, because I thought they were fool's gold. The real fool's gold is the South Carolina Gamecocks. Like, South Carolina's not a good football team. They should not be in a bowl. When I watch that team, I say that is not a good football team. Watch them beat Tennessee next weekend. But that's this season. But shout out to Florida. They look great today, and I think Napier needed that. He's got 2 wins in a row at A&M, so he started to get some stability there. Find out who his team is. Texas State 21, South Alabama 38. South Alabama continues to be a great story in the Sun Belt. Texas State, Jake Spavital. You got to wonder if his time's running out there in San Marcos. Maybe they go to hire someone, maybe Justin Fuente or something, Texas guy. Georgia 45, Mississippi State 19. I took Mississippi State. I bet Mississippi State plus 17. Mississippi State kills me as a team right now. I mean, just ever really since I don't like Will Rogers much as a quarterback. He's got zero athleticism, and he's the epitome of a lawn chair. But it's not all his fault. These receivers drop a lot of passes. Critical moment in the game, Mississippi State drops a touchdown. The very next play, they get stopped on 4th and 1, right at the 10-yard line, 6-yard line, something like that. I mean, look, Georgia would have beat them regardless of this game. But this game should have been a lot closer but Mississippi State just does shit like that. Lad McConkey takes like a fucking reverse, like 70 yards for a touchdown. Dude misses an easy tackle. Would have been like a 3-yard gain. Although, I mean, and there were some times, I thought Stetson Bennett should have got called for a critical grounding in the first half, but Georgia was the flat-out better team, and I was stupid to take Mississippi State. But I swear Mississippi State loves to kill themselves. They love to kill themselves. And Mike Leach is our guy, but they got to get some receivers that catch the ball. They got to get a quarterback that's a gamer. Like Minshew, when Leach had Minshew, he was a gamer. Rodgers drives me crazy sometimes. Washington 37, Oregon 34. This game was ridiculous. This game was absolutely fucking ridiculous. There was like 35 points in the third quarter scored in the whole third quarter. And Dan Lanning, what the fuck are you doing? What does he go for a 4th and 1 on like his own 30 with the game tied up? Basically gave the game to Washington. They almost got in field goal range, but there was a bullshit moment where like Oregon's wide receiver catches a first down and then he fakes an injury to get a fucking timeout because it was a first down. They don't do the 10-second runoff, which would have ended the game. Washington gets the dub. I wrote that. And fans saying that the force out. Come on. That's not a force out. That was not a force out. I'm no Washington fan. You know that. That's not a force out. Kansas 28, Texas Tech 43. Shout out to Texas Tech. Man, Kansas battled all the way back, and then Jason Bean, terrible pocket awareness on this particular play where he gets strip sacked, and Texas Tech opens up the lead back to double digits. Texas Tech 1 win away from bowl eligibility. Joey McGuire, I think, is going to be a good hire for them. I think it's going to work out. They got to figure out some stuff offensively and continue to get better defensively. But I don't know. There were many schedules at Iowa State, home to Oklahoma. They could lose both those two. We'll see. It would be fun. They're 5-5 though. They're pretty good. Kansas State 31, Baylor 3. My philosophy is correct. I called this one. Dave Aranda's defense and physicality works on all these other teams, but K-State fucks with them. K-State can fuck with them. Their style. Shout out to K-State. Baylor, Texas next week should be fun. Wyoming 14, Colorado State 13. I told you guys to take Colorado State in the points. That thing cashed. Wyoming goes to 7-3. Craig Bowl is a fucking amazing coach. Colorado, maybe you should call the guy. 14-13. Wyoming 7-3. This is a fan. Look, Wyoming is still controls its own destiny on playing in the Mountain West Championship, because if they can beat Boise next week in Laramie, they might get a bye before that. I'm not sure. No, it's next week in Laramie. Then they still have to go at Fresno State, but it's still possible. They control their own destiny. I wouldn't bet on it, but still possible. Florida Atlantic 52, the Airport 7. Whoo! McIntyre moves to 4-6. Bowl eligibility still possible. Probably not going to happen though. Either way, you quadrupled your fucking wins from a year ago. Willie Taggart goes to 5-5. Will he get fired? His remaining schedule's at Middle Tennessee. That's a critical game because their final game against Western Kentucky, I don't think they're going to win that game. The Middle Tennessee one can get them to 6-6, and then maybe Taggart say, "Hey, we're building it still. We're in a bowl. We're in a bowl." Auburn 13, Texas A&M 10. A&M moves to 3-7. They got the JFK Bowl coming against UMass and then LSU. So they're looking at a 4-8 season. Pretty hilarious. Pretty fucking hilarious. Shout out to Cadillac Williams getting his first dub. TCU 17, Texas 10. Whew, this is the score is actually deceiving. TCU like fumbled a handoff with like 3 minutes left. Texas took it back to the house and actually made it like, okay, could Texas come back and get a stop? No. This was really domination by TCU, and I locked up Texas -7. I'm the fucking idiot here, but I can tell you this. I lost money on Texas -7, but I am happy to lose money because I hate the Texas Longhorns, as you well know, I blame them for a lot of the realignment. Shout out to TCU. A great story. I hope they go undefeated. Shout out to Sonny Dykes and Jeremiah Donati. They're doing a great job. They're doing a great job there. And I was wrong. I questioned the Dykes hire. Honestly. I didn't think it would be terrible, but I didn't think it would be this good. I thought it'd be bowling like 7-5 every year. Making me look like a fool. Southern Miss 23, Coastal Carolina 26. This was a game. No Grayson McCall, not a problem. Coastal clinches Sun Belt East. Great win for the team without Big Bird, their leader. Absolutely fantastic. North Carolina 36, Wake Forest 34. Sam Hartman threw a critical interception in this game. They were up 34-33. Critical pick as Hartman, he's throwing too much this year, in my opinion. He's good. He's back next year. Hopefully. Florida State 38, Syracuse 3. Woo! Shout out to Mike Norvell. Like I said, this is impressive. The momentum that you're building here. I don't know that you're a great team, but you're dominating these teams. Syracuse has now lost 3 in a row, and you got to wonder. No, they've lost 4 in a row. You got to wonder. They're at Wake Forest next week. I would take Wake Forest to win that. That would put them at 6-5, and then they're at Boston College. I think there's a strong chance they could go 6-6, maybe 7-5. Maybe they can win at BC. I don't think they're going to win at Wake, though. Wow. Open up 6-0. Shout out to Florida State. Oregon State 38, Cal 10. Oregon State is, well, like I said, shout out to Oregon State. My over cash. 6.5 wins. Boom! As they go to 7-3. They are a quarterback away from being so good. They're another one that I feel like they're like kind of like Clemson of the West. It's like their whole team is good except for their quarterback. I guess Clemson doesn't have elite receivers though, but they're a lot like Clemson. They're Clemson of the West. Yeah, and that's our slate right now. We do have Utah up 35-7. Wow, they poured it on over Stanford right now in the fourth, the whole quarter left. San Diego State is up 38-20. Patty C still alive, it looks like. Critical win for the Aztecs. Arizona and UCLA are tied up as currently I have this on the screen here. Arizona's at the UCLA 46-yard line with the 1st and 10 as we're about to head into the fourth quarter. Boise State's up 24-3 on Nevada. Hopefully I can cling on there. And Utah State's up 24-10 on Hawaii. And that is our show, folks. Remember, Dantabase Top 25 episode comes out Monday. Subscribe to the College Football Experience. And I'm excited to talk more college football with you guys, as always, because we love this fucking thing. So until next week, give us a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Give me a follow at the Colby D. Please, if you can get over to iTunes and give us a 5-star review, we'd appreciate that. And this race is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun down the stretch. Could be a lot more fun, though, if we had a real large playoff. One of these days. Until then, folks, check us out. Come talk college football on the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Check out the College Basketball Experience. We've been rolling over there, so go check out that. All right, this is the College Football Experience Week 11 reaction show. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even blocked all my kicks yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana.
Sometimes people that are standing on third base think they hit a triple. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.